play out.
Yeah.
As a result. But speaking of Van Helsing, I want to move into the 2004 movie with Hugh Jackman. And I was going to say, I thought this movie was pretty interesting because when we think of Dracula, we normally think of the vampire, the eponymous character. But here we're focusing on his foil, Van Helsing, or in this case, Gabriel Van Helsing. And you mentioned Kate Beckinsale earlier, so here's your chance to fanboy out on Kate Beckinsale in her steampunk tights. Now with Dracula, I would say out of all of the characters, we're getting someone who's a bit more of a campy villain type of character. And I was going to say too, because Underworld came out in what, 2003, roughly around that time period.
I know it's early 2000s.
Yeah, so the whole narrative that you see in the movie, I felt like they're pretty much lifting from Underworld because of the whole, only a werewolf can kill Dracula.
Yeah.
So talk to me about your thoughts of the portrayal of Dracula in Van Helsing.
So I would go ahead and say, polar opposite of the last one, this is easily the one of these movies I've watched the most by a landslide. Love this movie.
You're in good company, by the way.
Yeah, dude. Growing up, my family was very much into like PG-13 action movies. I mean, that's what we watched. This one was right up my alley. There are a number of actors in this that I really enjoy. I mean, you got Faramir in it. I'm a Lord of the Rings diehard fan. That's gonna win me over. But I definitely say would agree that this version of Dracula is he's the villain. He is the antagonist. Very clearly, there is no wiggle room about it. Even towards the end, when he starts to try to be like, no, we shouldn't fight, we could be friends, but then he immediately transforms and starts attacking.
Right.
He's like, come on, man. But no, this one, he's very campy is a really good word. This is also the only not the only, but this is one of the movies where we actually get to see the brides as well. I like that they are such prominent characters. This one really gets to play into like the powers of Dracula. We get to see the transformations. We get to see all of the powers that he has and that his brides have. We get to see a lot of big fights. Seriously, if you have not watched this movie, big recommend. This one's a good time.
Well, I was gonna say, if you haven't seen the movie by this point, my question is, what the hell's wrong with you?
Yeah, dude. I mean, seriously, Hugh Jackman has an automatic crossbow. Like,
I was gonna say, because it comes on every October. Almost every channel is gonna show Van Helsing. But to your point, I totally agree with you, because of the fact that we're looking at a Dracula who is very much who's very much aware of his powers, and he leans on them quite a lot. Yeah. And what I will say too, because in Bram Stoker's Dracula, we see him occasionally turn into this like giant demonic bat figure who kind of occasionally pops out every now and then, but he's very much comfortable in human form. With this one, you kind of get a Jekyll and Hyde situation where he can kind of shapeshift at will, right?
Yeah.
I also I would also make the argument too that that with this movie, you also get this feeling that this is a character who very much has this. He's very much someone who you need to root against, because they make it very clear this is someone who's got a huge army behind him. So right off the bat, he's a villain. Then he's got the big creepy castle, so that's also that's also a sign for, hey, this is the villain too. And then most importantly is the fact that he's able to mind control people at will, because in other iterations of Dracula, he's usually got the one guy. He's got Renfield, right? Whereas here he's got Igor. He's got all these little, I guess, leather-clad little people running around doing all these things. I will also say too, because I do want to say that in terms of Van Helsing, this one is much more action oriented, and I will admit, I really, really liked it. I thought, go get him, Hugh Jackman. Like you can really rally behind Hugh Jackman as Van Helsing, but I'll also say this too, because when you look at the way that Dracula is portrayed in Van Helsing, you also there's also a bit of curiosity about him because they hint about his past, and you come to find out that he is actually from the same family as Kate Beckinsale's character. And the whole family's mission is to basically restore their honor by basically killing off the black sheep of the family. What did you think about that little plot twist?
So I did think it was interesting to like trace back the lineage of, honestly, to go back to Underworld. I don't know how familiar you are with those, but in the Underworld movies, you've got I think his name's Alexander Corvinus, is like the immortal, or like original immortal, and he has two sons, one bitten by bat, one bitten by wolf. So it's really cool in that sense that you can trace the lineage of the lichens and the vampires to the same lineage, the same parents, same family. In this, I like the fact that you've got those kind of intertwined with each other. It's not quite the same, but it's, I think, going in that direction. I do really like that you've got the lichens and the or werewolves sometimes in this movie, and the vampires. I thought, I'm not gonna lie, the story beat about trying to kill off the one family member, I was like, it's fine. Ultimately, I think it would have been perfectly fine to just say, this is big bad guy, he wants to kill her because she's a threat to him. Okay, I could have rolled with that. Adding the family side of it, I think it's fine as a story beat. It didn't really do a lot for me. I think it helped to pit them against each other, but I mean, he'd already gone after her brother, and she more or less swore eternal vengeance. So I feel like we've already got the impending battle we need.
Right. That was all the motivation she needed. You really didn't need to add that extra level in there. But I would also say too, because in terms of the way that the character is portrayed, he's very much the kind of character who, while you can say, yeah, he's very much, a one-sided villain. There's not much to him. He just wants to, put the world in eternal darkness, and he's got his brides flying around. What I also find interesting is the fact that he's also obsessed with trying to bring life to his, I guess you can call them kids. I don't know what you can call those things.
I think kids is good, because I will say that this is it's an interesting character point with him, is that he is very like heartbroken when his kids get, spoiler alert, destroyed at the end. He's very upset when his brides died. Like, it seems not just as a anger that I lost a minion. It seems like I think the brides are crying over them at some point.
Yeah, they
so
are.
It's like there is a surprising amount of, at the very least, affection, if not genuine love here. So I thought that was very interesting, that we get probably the most outwardly, like, intentionally evil version of Dracula in this, but you do also get to see the softer side, the more lovey-dovey side. Okay, maybe not lovey-dovey. That word's maybe going a little too far.
Well, well, maybe paternal, because he does, because he is working in the interest of trying to preserve his lineage, right? And the fact that his children are being harmed, or Van Helsing is trying to destroy them, it kind of, if you're a parent, you could sort of understand where he's coming from, right?
Yeah. I will also say this movie honestly might have my favorite portrayal of Frankenstein's monster.
That's true. Because
there's just something about him that it breaks my heart, because he's just so sad. And first off, to get to hear him like outwardly speak, like openly speak, you're like, okay, yeah, of course this character is going to have some sad stuff. Also, random side note, the guy that plays the Frankenstein's monster is a professional opera singer. He's also in The Greatest Showman for like 2 seconds. But I really like him and his portrayal. The guy playing Igor is the guy who played Benny in The Mummy. I always forget his name, but he is so funny. He's just one of the funniest character actors out there. And yeah, this movie, I also really enjoy the transformations that they've got into the vampire forms, and then the lichen or the werewolf transformations. They're very scary looking, not just because
he's ripping the skin off.
I'm like, dude, the first time I saw it, I was like, holy shit, this is intense, man. A lot of movies would either show that off screen, Or, I mean, you do get every now and then like American Werewolf in London level. I say every now and then, that one time where you get like that level of transformation. But
or the Howling, you know.
Yes. Yeah. Oh God, dude. Yes, we could do a whole episode on just werewolf transformations and movies.
I mean, we're saving that for around the fall. So, so keep your schedule free. We will be doing an episode on werewolves at some point.
Yeah, and this movie also does deal a little bit with, you know, there's a difference between a werewolf and a lycan about being able to control your urges and your transformations and whatnot. But I think the werewolves in this look really good. I like that they're a genuine threat. You know, Van Helsing by himself with his, because yeah, when you said steampunk earlier, that's the most accurate freaking representation of like the level of technology these guys are dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Van Helsing by himself is a very genuine threat. I mean, I believe he kills Mr. Hyde in the beginning of the movie.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
Well, he chops off his arm, and then, you know, he ends up falling to his death in front of Notre Dame.
Yeah. And, you know, we've got that. We've got Frankenstein's monster. But even just in regular Van Helsing form, dude, this dude is a threat. He is very knowledgeable. He's quick. He's a good shot. And then when he becomes in his werewolf form, I really like that he is still such a threat to Dracula, because it would be so easy to have that level of power of Dracula just be like, yeah, I'm just going to get rid of whatever's in front of me. But no, Van Helsing is such a good foil to him.
Well, I was going to say, I think what this movie does is kind of take that foil to the extreme, right? Because originally the idea is to have, you know, a human who's very knowledgeable going against something that's eternal.
Yeah.
But with Van Helsing. And tell me what you think of this. Do they hint at the fact that Van Helsing himself is long lived?
That is something I was actually curious about this last time, because I think I just know him as Faramir, but the guy that's with him, I feel like he has a line at some point that makes you think that maybe Van Helsing's been around a lot longer than you might think.
Because Dracula even hints at this, that, hey, you know, you were the one who killed me originally.
Yeah. I don't know, to be honest. I would need to rewatch it with that in mind, but I feel like maybe the last time I watched it, I caught that there was a line at some point in time, and I was like, maybe he's older than I think he is, or, you know, maybe we're dealing with a reincarnation situation again.
Right.
But yeah, that I'm not 100% sure about that one.
Well, that's the thing too, because because the way that they portray Van Helsing, he's, you know, when he's in werewolf form, you also get the fact, you get the notion that he's very much in control, unlike, you know, the previous werewolf thrall, the brother who's basically, you know, a mindless creature. Van Helsing, when he's turned into a lycan, he very much knows what his mission is, and he's very much focused on it.
Yeah.
Which I thought was really, really interesting too, because that also speaks to just how, to your point, just how focused Van Helsing is in accomplishing his mission, regardless of what form he takes. And I will say this too. What I really, really liked is the fact that you could see Dracula split screen. Well, not split screen, but he's split between his human and his bat persona. You know, and you also get the feeling that you know, when he's in bad form, he kind of allows himself a little more leeway than if he's in human form.
Yeah, I think, like, the power wise, this is probably one of the most powerful on-screen Draculas that we've seen. The only one I can think of that might get pretty up there is from Dracula Untold.
Mm-hmm.
That, I mean, he's cutting down armies like it's nothing, but for the most part, it's just like strength, speed, and then to be able to turn into the bats, like the swarm of bats almost. I think this is probably, in Van Helsing, I think this is probably, like, I would argue maybe the most powerful Dracula we've seen on screen.
Well, also too, I think this is the only iteration where we see he actually has an army with him as well.
Yeah, that's true.
To a degree. I mean, we can talk about Van Helsing all the time, but we got to keep moving here. Next movie I want to look at is the last